What's going on YouTube? So when it comes to the new generation of the Tacoma, just like previous generations, you have a lot of different versions of this model. We're standing with one of the more interesting models right now. This is the TRD PreRunner. So this is actually bringing back a trim level that they used to offer on the generation before last. And it has some unique characteristics which we're getting ready to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now before we dig into the exterior design, I think it would be useful to mention where this is positioned in the trim lineup. So this is going to fall right in between the SR5 and the TRD Sport trim levels. And what's interesting about this model mainly is the fact that it's only available in the extra cab configuration, so that's just 2 doors, and it's also just 2-wheel drive. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. Let's go ahead and kind of move into the exterior design though. Toyota actually makes every single version have slightly different elements. This is no different. You'll notice up here in the front we have this black grille that's going right through here, and we also have the black bumper down here on the lower part. As we kind of drop down here, you'll notice that this does not have the air dam you may have saw on some of the other versions. Kind of versions that are off-road focused, Toyota has been able to remove that, so it won't come equipped with that. Even if you do get a trim level that does have it, you can easily remove it as well. And then coming up here to our headlights, even on a more affordable truck such as this, we are going to have standard LED projector headlights, incandescent turn signal, and LED fog lamps built in. Now moving on to our wheels, we do have 17-inch alloys on board with the PreRunner. We have a matte gray finish, nice red TRD branding right there in the middle, and they are going to be wrapped in all-terrain tires to give you more rugged off-road ability. Heading on up here to our mirrors, body color up top, black on the bottom, and we do have blind spot monitoring.
Now, like Drew said at the very beginning of this video, this TRD PreRunner trim level is only available in the extra cab configuration. You can get a good look at what this looks like here at the side. Of course, you don't have the full rear door. You have a little bit of space in this area, which we'll talk about a little later in the video. I do also want to point out, if you choose the extra cab version, which is of course standard on this model, you do get the 6-foot long bed. So a little bit longer of a bed than you get on other versions of the Tacoma. Now, walking around to the rear design of this TRD PreRunner, I'm happy to tell you that the overall look at this looks very similar to what you're going to get on the higher end versions of the Tacoma, which we actually checked out earlier today. We have Tacoma stamped in the tailgate, and then as far as our tail lights are concerned, look at this. We have full LED tail lights even on this more basic trim level. Of course, the stickers at quite a bit lower than the other versions of the Tacoma. And then down here at the very bottom, we do have a pretty rugged looking diffuser area, an exposed exhaust outlet here on the left side. And as far as our tow rating is concerned, it's 6,500 pounds. And it's a truck after all, so let's check out the bed. If we pop open the tailgate, you will notice that it is nicely dampened, although this PreRunner trim level, of course, doesn't have the full power tailgate that you can get on other versions of the Tacoma, which is a real cool feature, but not going to be on this model, as you would expect. Here's a 6-foot bed. This is quite a bit larger than the other versions of the Tacoma. We do still keep the rails here on the side that you can actually adjust. We also have the LED lighting as well. One thing I'm noticing that we're missing from some of the higher end models is the 400-watt inverter power outlet back here, so you are going to be missing that. If that matters a lot to you, I would recommend maybe getting a higher end trim level. And I do want to point out this tailgate is actually very light. You can do that with one hand. And I want to talk about your safety for this TRD PreRunner trim level, because this is a very cool part about this truck. You're going to get all 4 active safety features as standard equipment, even on this more basic truck, which certainly is something that the competition cannot say. Now guys, there's a pretty cool interior that we can't wait to show you, but first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, now let's go ahead and check out the interior. First of all, we'll take a look at the key fob. It's pretty much your typical Toyota key fob. We do have one of the only options that you can get on the PreRunner, which is the smart entry system. That allows you to just walk up to the truck, grab behind the handle, and unlock the door seamlessly. Now let's go ahead and check out the interior. Now, like we've mentioned up to this point, this is one of the more affordable trim levels, but I'm happy to report you have some pretty nice looking things inside of the cabin. One of the nice looking things, I think, are the seats. You'll notice that we have a two-tone finish on board. So we've got black on top, gray in the middle, black on the front end with color contrast stitching throughout. Overall, looks quite nice. The fabric feels like it would be very durable and overall very comfortable as well. This is going to be a manual adjusting seat though. Be aware of that. You do have a power lumbar support though, so you're not left out, and you can also adjust the height using this knob right there. But let's go ahead and climb inside. I'm going to go ahead and hop inside here. Now, taking a look at the overall cabin, we'll start with those materials. I do want to point out this is a pre-production model. So this is an early build known as a 1A, and that means some of the plastics, including over here in the door trim, are not production ready. You're not going to see this type of smooth material in the production model. It will be a textured plastic, of course. But we can get a good sense of the overall look still because we have leather on the armrest portion. We got TRD branding right there. When we go to the upper dash, it is going to be hard touch. This part has a good texture. We have silver trim running through here and Tacoma branding on the TRD PreRunner. And then coming down to this part, you got the TRD branding again on the shifter, and that handlebar is going to be on pretty much every trim level as well. Let's go ahead and fire it up with our red push button start. Now that we've fired up the truck, one of the first things I want to highlight are the gauges. You'll notice that we have the premium full digital gauge cluster actually here on the TRD PreRunner. This is the first trim level where it becomes standard equipment, and I really like these gauges. They have cool graphics. You can reconfigure them a lot of different ways, and overall just very premium touch for this more affordable truck. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, we do have a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel. This is Toyota's latest truck design, so it's meaty, feels good in the hand. It is going to be manual tilt and telescoping. Heating, I don't believe, is available on this version. Now, checking out interior storage. This is an area that has improved for the new generation, so we can open up our center console. Pretty deep here, felt-lined inside. You have two large cup holders. And this right here is a nice bit of storage where you can stick things right through here. You can also stick your phone in this slot, which will allow it to kind of stand up. This is not a wireless phone charging pad on this version, even though it does look like it. You still, though, have fast charging USB-C ports right next to them. Again, you've got the nice meaty TRD shifter I was mentioning earlier. You can bump to the left if you want to shift manually. And then when we go into reverse, this is what our regular backup camera is going to look like. The resolution is certainly vastly improved over the last generation, so much clearer, and we do have the active guidelines as well. Then right next to that, you have your parking brake and your brake hold. This is also where you can locate your drive modes. Now, as we rise above, we come to our climate controls. Upper trim versions will have dual zone climate. This is going to be a single zone climate system. Nevertheless, you have the big meaty knobs here to make adjustments, and you can make other things or other adjustments through those buttons right there. You also have a physical volume knob for your audio system, which will come in 4 or 6 speakers and moving up to a JBL sound system on the top end. This is going to be the middle 6-speaker option. And speaking of having options, this 8-inch display is going to be one of the things that reminds you this is a lower end model. Not that this is a bad display, but the higher end trim levels will come with a 14-inch display, which is going to look a lot bigger and a lot more high tech. Nevertheless, though, this does still have Toyota's newest infotainment software, meaning we have the latest navigation. We also have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay, and overall performance is going to be quite snappy. Up top here, we have an auto dimming mirror. 3 HomeLink universal remotes are built into the bottom of it. And then wrapping up the front of the interior here, we do not have a sunroof.
Now, of course, we don't have that full rear seat, but that doesn't mean there's nothing to put stuff in. And let's go ahead and check out what's behind the front seat. So in order to get back here, you just grab this little lever right here that actually allows the seat back to fold up and slide out of the way, kind of like a third row in some vehicles. And look at this rear area back here. there's actually quite a bit of space behind the front seat, so you have the ability to store quite a few things. Additionally, I want to point out that you have a few little useful features. For instance, this can actually be a lockable storage compartment, so any type of tool or whatever you're wanting to keep people from stealing, you can just lock it in there. And that's not all, because we can actually even get this whole piece to kind of fold down and allow for additional space back here. Certainly, if you want to hide stuff from people, they definitely will never know that anything is back there. I promise you that. But overall, a decent amount of space. If you want to put groceries and stuff inside the cabin, you're going to have no issue doing that. And this passenger seat actually folds completely flat. So a lot of usability with this PreRunner Tacoma. Well, here we are behind the wheel of the TRD PreRunner Tacoma, and in this test drive we're going to be talking about quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting our sound level reading, but most importantly we're going to show you what it's like to be behind the wheel of the new Tacoma. So let's go ahead and dive in with the hard acceleration.
So, of course, what we have under the hood is a new powertrain for the Tacoma. The classic V6 is gone, and that includes, of course, the TRD PreRunner. And in its place, we have a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. Now, with the PreRunner, like we were mentioning, this is a 2-wheel drive only, and we have a lot more torque with this model. But it puts the power down quite well.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's bright and sunny outside.
We're in California.
But it definitely puts the power down well. 317 pound-feet of torque to be exact, and 278 horsepower from the 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine.
Yeah, so when you choose the TRD PreRunner, there are a few different tunes for this 2.4 turbo, and this is going to be the tune that you get starting on the SR5 trim level and above. And it's a very impressive, honestly. The horsepower, like Drew has mentioned, is 278 horsepower, which is the same as the outgoing V6. However, the torque is up 52 pound-feet over the outgoing V6, which really means it pushes you back in your seat when you're accelerating. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of you guys are really going to enjoy that additional power, that's for sure.
Now we're in Malibu, California, and we are kind of canyon carving a little bit. We've been driving some different versions of Tacomas today, so we've had some back-to-back experience, but I definitely think this is a sportier feel behind the wheel for sure. Obviously, you have the smaller body, as we talked about on the outside, and overall this feels a lot more agile, I think, and the body control is more well maintained in terms of how much we feel as we go around the corner.
Yep.
The PreRunner is kind of like you call it like the sporty Tacoma. It's very interesting that we have that dynamic, but this definitely feels pretty confident behind the wheel going around those corners. Now, another thing I think you'll enjoy a lot more in terms of your drive characteristics versus the previous generation is the 8-speed automatic instead of the previous 6-speed. If you drove the previous model, which a lot of you guys have, it was a little bit of a sluggish transmission, needed some extra gears. Now you've got the extra gears, and it's also just a lot more responsive and smooth in general, even when you're, having a pretty high demand of it, going up a big incline like we are. It keeps the powertrain in its power band.
Yeah. And like we mentioned on the outside, this vehicle is actually 2-wheel drive exclusive. So that's one of the kind of weird things about the PreRunner, is that it's only available in 2-wheel drive. It's just going to be a kind of limited production model where they're only going to offer certain configurations. So that's something worth noting if you're going to need 4-wheel drive all the time. Probably not the trim level for you, but As far as fuel economy is concerned, it will get you a little bit better fuel economy. As a matter of fact, the two-wheel drive PreRunner, it's going to be sitting at 22 miles a gallon combined, which is actually 2 mpg better than the four-wheel drive TRD Sport that we were driving earlier this morning. So pretty good fuel economy in the lineup. And I also want to just go ahead and talk about your ride quality now that we're just kind of cruising along down the road here. The ride quality for this TRD PreRunner trim level I do think is really quite impressive. When we hit a bump, it does a really good job of soaking it up. And the thing that I was very curious about is, are these cloth seats like hard as a brick? The answer to that is no. I think they're actually pretty soft and comfortable. I feel like they're more comfortable than the current generation Tacoma for sure. And I feel like overall the body is pretty well controlled.
Yeah, this is a really bumpy spot right there. And it depends on which trim level you choose, of course, because there's a lot of different suspension setups. But I think this one here is kind of a more classic Tacoma feel behind the wheel and in terms of the ride quality.
59.8 is our official Car Confection sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour in this PreRunner Tacoma. That is going to be slightly louder than the TRD Sport that we checked out earlier, but not a bad sound level reading whatsoever. And we don't have to guess, because on our website, carconfections.com/new sound level readings, we do have all of our sound level readings posted. So you can actually see how this PreRunner compares to a lot of the competition, including that new Colorado and GMC Canyon. And as far as our Slam Dunk and Airball, Drew, do you want to kick us off with the Slam Dunk?
I think the Slam Dunk very easily is the under $40,000 price point. I think you're getting a lot with this model for under $40,000.
And as far as the Airball is concerned, there's a lot of things that we really like about this PreRunner trim level. However, one of the things that I probably would miss the most from some of the other versions is the smaller screen here, and we can't option on the bigger one. So if technology really matters the most to you, you're not going to have the best in the PreRunner. It's not bad, it's just not the best technology. And lastly here, as far as the warranty is concerned, we're going to have Toyota Signature Warranty, which is 3 year 36,000 miles for your basic, 5 year 60,000 miles powertrain, and 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. Now, like Drew said, this PreRunner trim level is only available in the one configuration, two-wheel drive with this cab configuration. That means we're starting at $38,100, and that's pretty much going to be your price for this Plus destination. Of course, we do have that one option of a smart entry system, but we're looking at a truck that's about $40,000 or a little bit less in this review. So I think that's a very impressive price point, especially as expensive as trucks are nowadays. To be under $40,000 or about $40,000, that really seems like a pretty good deal to me. And if you want to get a really good deal, the next place you should go to is carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, on our website, we have a tool that will connect you with local dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. Additionally, it's going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealer negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description. And guys, that's where we're going to leave off on this in-depth look at the Toyota Tacoma PreRunner. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you help get us invited to events like this where I can come out to Malibu, California and show you the latest trucks on the market like this new Tacoma. So by subscribing, you play a really pivotal role in that, so thank you so much in advance. If you're already a part of our family, thank you for your continued support because you do make this all possible. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.